Welcome back for video number 6 of this little podcast journey we're going on here of me starting out in college sports. In this video, we're going to look particularly at me finally getting to take on some of the essential job tasks that I'll have in my role, as well as finally being assigned my full sports portfolio. So pretty excited about that. And then we'll close out with some really cool events and recognitions that we got to have on Friday before our game, and then also on the game during the game on Saturday. So excited to take you guys along, and we'll actually start out with a clip from the middle of the week here up next. All right, so we are about 4.5 weeks into the job now. Just had by far the longest day in the office. Got in regular time about 9 o'clock and didn't leave until 6:30. So mostly just working on the newsletter, and that is what kept me in so late. We do try to get that out Tuesdays before the end of the day, but as has been the case before I took it over, we're going to be about a day late. So excited to be working on it, realizing it's lots of work, but it's fun. So keep you guys updated on how the rest of the week goes. But that's 2 days now in a row where I've been in the office till 6. So we'll see how things pick up as the responsibilities continue to grow. So as you can see, there is a bit of an adjustment period with getting used to having some of these new tasks, particularly with the newsletter, just getting used to some of the communication pieces that go along with that, and then making sure that we get all the details in there properly so that when we do send it out to our alumni, it looks professional and looks easy to digest for them. And now we're gonna jump into another video from that week, just telling you a little bit more about what's to come later on in the week, some things I've already touched on early on here. We are now halfway through our first home Ivy League game week. We got Columbia coming up this weekend. Should be a pretty tough game. Somewhat exciting day. I got to send out my first football newsletter now that I'm done with the marketing cloud training, which is the software we use for all of our kind of web design, emails, that kind of stuff. There's a few things coming down the pipeline this week that I'm looking forward to. I will get my full sports portfolio tomorrow, finally, after, today was exactly a month into the job, so a little bit over a month before I got all my sports assigned. No football and basketball for sure, obviously, but excited to see what else is on there. And then Friday night, we've got a couple of alumni groups coming into town. I will get to kind of go introduce myself to one of the football alumni groups as we set up a dinner for them on campus. I'll hand over their game tickets and their credentials for our hospitality spaces, all that good stuff. And then Saturday, we'll have some pretty big names at the game, people that we're gonna try to show a really good time and build that relationship a bit stronger. So looking forward to it. Okay, so as I mentioned, the exciting bit of news from that clip is that I was getting my full sport portfolio finally after being in the office for quite a while. But throwing up this graphic here just to show you all the different sports that I have, and then some information that goes along with that. So as you can see, my full portfolio is football, basketball, the two that we already knew. And then along with that, I was also given baseball, wrestling, tennis, and squash. So overall, I was told this is a bit of a heavier portfolio than what they would typically give somebody, obviously with getting football and basketball, the two biggest sports there, and then baseball and wrestling being two other sports that Penn is relatively successful at and usually on the national stage for. So really excited to be working with those sports, and then also to have the opportunity to work with tennis that I played in college along with soccer, and then squash, who is coming off of a national championship on the men's side. So really exciting portfolio. And then that other piece of information that you'll see there is the annual fund goals for the fiscal year 25. So essentially every fiscal year, which runs July 1st through June 30th the following year, there are new goals set for the annual fund, because the money raised in the annual fund has to be used in that fiscal year that it's raised. So for football, the goal for this year is $1,694,000. That is by far the biggest goal of all sports. Followed up by basketball at $880,000. That is pretty high up as well. Then behind that, we have baseball coming in at $418,000. Wrestling, another high one, coming in at $882,000. That is in large part just due to the size of their roster and the fact that they do travel a lot for tournaments. Coming in next is tennis at $310,000, and then squash at $356,000. So those are two sports that obviously have some lower goal numbers. That's partially because they do stay local for a lot of their matches, and then also, especially for tennis, they carry a relatively small roster size. So only usually between 6 and 10 people will play and score in each match, and there's really not a whole lot of reserve players per se behind them. And to close out, I did just want to talk briefly about the last piece from the clip I had recorded from the week, and that is the event that we had on Friday, which was a donor and alumni from, I believe it's the 1970s. He brings a group of his old teammates back every year. They pick one football game, and they all come back the Friday before the game. They'll have a dinner somewhere on campus or a restaurant nearby that will help facilitate and set up, and then give them tickets and credentials to get into the hospitality space for the game the following day. So really cool to attend that and meet some pretty high level donors for our different athletic programs. And then on Saturday, had a really cool opportunity to recognize Penn's first Ivy League football championship team. So the team of 1959, as you can imagine, a lot of those guys are getting up there in age. So was responsible for driving them around in the golf cart from their cars to the stadium, really just making sure they had everything they needed. But such a cool opportunity to get to engage with two groups from Penn's history that have had such a big impact both in their time at Penn and then following with their support of athletics. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. It was just a little bit more of kind of, I guess, what a typical week will look like, more just general information on what the position will look like. So maybe more bare bones, but hope it was valuable for you, and I will look forward to catching up with you again in video number 7.